Noah, thank you for today. A very, very important topic that you brought to the stage. One that isn't so comfortable for a lot, regardless of whether they're a real estate agent or not, but someone in a position of persuasion, negotiation skills and tactics. You brought that to the stage. For someone really needing a steer on how to enhance their skills, do you have a framework that helps, someone in a 101 mindset? How can they start to create some structure as they approach how they want to become a great negotiator?
Yeah, and I spoke about this on stage. I think the best framework to start with is to know that you've got 3 approaches. The first is the power approach that everyone recognizes because everyone's parents have said to them, if you don't eat your food, there's no dessert, right? Or unions will say, if you don't give us the raise that our constituency deserves, then we will strike. So this is the threat, the power approach. Is when you get someone to comply with you by threatening, they don't really have a say in the matter. The second approach is the rights approach, where you try to convince by showing all of the evidence. Here is why I'm correct. Here is why I'm right. Just hear me out. Here is all of the evidence. It's not about me. It's about fairness. It's about justice. And then the third approach is the interest-based approach, where you sell an idea to someone as this is good for you, this is in service to you, you should want this. That's like presenting something as an opportunity. And while we mix and use all of these 3 approaches, it's really good to grow our repertoire and to understand that we have alternatives for each situation and that each of these 3 approaches actually has its own unique way of planning. So I would start there for negotiators to get a handle on this is the ball game I'm playing, this is the interest-based game. And then there is a process for each of them.
Perfect. That's a great way to break down what can be seemingly very daunting into a nice trifecta of constructs. So when you just mentioned then sort of playing the interest game, so is this assuming that there are at least 2 parties involved, right? So the first party needs to identify which of the 3 is going to land with the other party. So is that a function of listening, having a conversation to evaluate which of the 3 they're in?
Yeah, well, it's a couple of things. First, what comes naturally to you and what do you think you could do well? Second, what does time allow? Sometimes you can't go into the interest-based approach or even the rights-based approach because this is an emergency or there's no time to get this done or else, And I've seen this done in boardrooms and I've seen this done in corporate. I've actually seen C-level person come into the room and go, listen, you, beep, I'm not going to say that, listen, you guys, if we don't get this done, before Friday, there will be consequences. So you do need to assess what does the situation call for, and then also what will resonate with the other party, because some people need to hear, it's like the DISC. Have you heard of the DISC?
Yes.
Framework. So when you understand that this person will respond well, to be persuaded into something, for example, I'd like to move overseas because you'll learn to surf and you'll be able to do this and we will learn a new culture and it'd be such an opportunity. If they like to be persuaded in that way, then use the interest-based approach. If they want hard evidence because they are an analytical person and they want to know why you deserve to be heard in the first place. Yeah. Or there is very clear criteria, like when you're asking for a promotion and you have to present the evidence, then it calls for the rights approach. But if there's no time or if they need to be threatened into action, and sometimes that's a valid, that is a valid method, then it's the power approach. But yes, there's assessment that goes on, and that's part of the planning process that I teach.
Okay, fantastic. And so with that being the case, for early students, you must observe some common mistakes or faux pas. So, what are some easily correctable behaviours or habits that you commonly see with those first setting out on a path to be better guided by you?
Well, my biggest thing, the biggest thing that I try to convince people to do is to plan. So my biggest frustration is that people who want to do well in their negotiations don't take the time to really plan, and that might be to collect evidence, benchmarks, information, if you're using the rights approach, or if you're using the interest-based approach, it's researching the person.
Yeah.
So like go and stalk them online a little bit, understand who is this person, what drives them, who's watching them negotiate, who is judging their performance, is their spouse involved, what will matter to them, what sort of person are they. So not planning is the biggest mistake, but I think there's an easier thing to correct. And it comes from the world of influence, so it's a little broader than just negotiation, but it's who's introducing you. Because real estate agents, and not to offend anybody listening, but real estate agents don't always get the best rep. And I know within my circle that when we think of real estate agents, we immediately think, well, how do we protect ourselves from either being persuaded into something that we don't want or lied to, or, we don't know this person and we're trusting them with the biggest transaction of our lives, which is selling or buying a house.
Yes.
So the easiest thing that an agent can do is to have a third person, someone trusted by the decision maker, to introduce them. Like, sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Ilse.
Here's Ilse. You're in good hands. Here's Ilse. She's been in the business for 10 years. She totally knows what she's doing. You're in good hands. Someone to just say, it's okay. This is a trusted person.
Yeah.
So if you can get someone to introduce you, that's half the way to building
Easy
trust.
win.
Very
is
easy.
Is that social proof, or is that different again?
It's called authority, the principle of authority.
Okay.
There's also social proof, absolutely. But just, you could build credibility with an Instagram profile that screams credibility, or with a certificate on the wall, or with something a lot more formal.
Yeah.
Or you can just have someone trusted introduce you. That's because you asked for quick fixes. That is a very quick fix.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. And the iceberg, last one for you. You have a framework around the iceberg. Can you clarify, what basic analogy, what can be seen, what cannot be seen?
Yeah.
Is that an analogy for who you're negotiating with? And how do we see below sea level?
Yeah, it's really hard to see what is truly driving and motivating decision makers. But of course, we know that it's not going to be the things that they talk about. So if they're talking about the terms of the deal, and it could be price, and it could be other terms or conditions or settlement date or whatever it is typically not those concrete things that are driving their decision making. What's driving them are the things they're not saying that are hidden. So they're underwater in this metaphorical iceberg. The things that are driving them are typically three things. They are safety, they are agency, and they are status. And notice that these things are intangible.
Yeah.
So they're very hard to measure, and we don't know. Yes, and we don't know how much the other person needs them. They'll never speak about it. They're not going to say, hey, I need you to validate my status before I can make a decision.
Absolutely not.
They're not going to say it, but you're going to get a sense for it, and you'll never know if you've 100% satisfied their interest. And I'm certainly not promoting like sucking up to people and flattery. That's not what I mean. But I do recommend taking a long time, like really allocating time to thinking about how to make the other people feel the way that they want to feel in the negotiation. So security or safety could be a sense of control. Control is a second thing, but actually both of them, safety and agency, which is control, they can be satisfied with transparency. Like, this is what we're doing. Let me lay it out for you. Or let me send you the information in an email so that you have it. Full transparency, or an explanation of what's going on, some background information. And validating someone's status, asking permission to do things, listening to them, making them feel like they have some status in the room. And I think everybody does this, but to have a framework around it and a method means that you're prompted to really think deeply about how to satisfy that for another person. And those things, they will get the deal done.
So it's sort of be intentional, observe, and have a framework so you can identify certain triggers, or what would it be? Not symptoms.
Symptoms. I mean, sometimes, for example, emotions. So when someone is emotional, angry or nervous or sad, it means that their intangible interests haven't been satisfied. They're not angry about price, they're angry that they're losing. Do you know what I mean? It's about a feeling.
Yeah.
They're not angry about
emotive,
conditions.
right? It is the emotive part. Is that fair to say?
Yes, emotive, intangible, feelings-based, all of that is correct. But these are the drivers. And it's great. It's a great opportunity because they're actually much easier to satisfy than the goals, which are like the concrete parts of the deal. I can't offer you more money for the house, but I can make you feel the way that you want to feel about selling it to me. Because I can make you feel like you're giving it to a good family who would really appreciate it, who would give you flexibility in whatever it is that you needed. So that it's easier and more flexible to satisfy the things that are underwater, that are the intangibles. But I don't think that negotiators really allocate enough time to thinking about that strategically. They know it, but they don't strategize around it. So if you do training with me, for example, the first thing I give you are the tips, the proven methods of satisfying those needs before we even talk about the terms of the deal.
Yeah, so you're actually looking at the target or the goal, right? Which is always the basis of a great plan. Where are you? What are you trying to achieve, or where are you trying to land?
Yep.
And then you're providing the connection between those dots.
That's right. And it's always through the intangibles.
That's so interesting. I'm hearing a whole bunch of pennies drop as I'm realizing I didn't know how to articulate it, but there are certain tactics that I help my clients, when purchasing, in certain, personal letters and things like this, actually appealing to the emotive side. I think we need to call you in.
But that's the thing. I think lots of people know how to do this, but do we have the technical language to identify and to predict and to plan in advance and teach other people how to do it?
Fabulous. Thank you so much. I think there'll be a ton of value and everyone progressing the conversation with you. Thanks, Noah.
Thanks.